Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurung Vande Sharanyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gauramanu Purnam Radhadasyam Pradayakam Rupanugacharya Varyambu Rupamanjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Bandhavam Acharya Narayanam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaura Tvise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismirahasaram Murali Manohara Radhikara Sika Mam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vrindai Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshava Sacha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Param Maradatam Shri Guru Pada Padmu Nitarila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev, and to my most worshipable Shikshan Sannyasa Guru Nitarila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vigyana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shirupanu Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridanti Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So continue reading from Sri Ramananda Samvada. Today we are going to discuss about Vatsalya Prem, the love of a parent for Krishna. Prabhu kahe ho tama age kahwar, Rai kahe Vatsalya Prema sarva sadhyasar. Sriman Mahaprabhu said, O Ramananda, that is the topmost, but please speak something beyond this. Sri Ramananda Rai then said that Vatsalya Prem, parental love for Krishna, is indeed the essence of all perfection. In his commentary on this statement, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Sakhya Rasa is superior to Dasya Rasa, but one can find a goal that is superior even to this. Sri Rai replied, Vatsalya Prem is the essence of all perfection. Srila Saraswati Prabhupada expressed this inner intention. Thus, Sriman Mahaprabhu heard Sri Ramananda Rai's conclusion that the ultimate goal is Sakhya Rasa. Thereupon, Sriman Mahaprabhu said that Sakhya Prema is superior to Dasya Prema. When Sriman Mahaprabhu requested that he expand further upon the subject, he described Vatsalya Prema, love in the mood of parental affection. It's good to mention that this type of loving service towards Krishna, it's only found in Vaishnavism. From Dasya to Sakhya, it's possible in others, religions. But to see Krishna as son, it's exclusive to Vaishnavism. Christianity sees God as father. We are like God's son, but not son as God. So now the sweetness is increasing so much to the point that now Krishna can become dependent on us. Before, we are thinking that we depend on Krishna for everything, but now Krishna becomes our dependent. So this is the essence of Vatsalya Prema. Up until this point, Sriman Mahaprabhu has said, Eho hai, this is good. But now to this he replies, Eho uttama, this is the topmost. Prior to Sakyaras being mentioned, whatever scripture evidence that had been presented had mainly referred to the practitioner who comes in the category of an ordinary living entity. But here the discussion embarks upon the subject of the Nitya Siddha Parikaras, or the eternally perfected associates of the Lord. The devotees of Shanta and Dasyaras are controlled by Bhagavan. But from the stage of Sakyaras onward, Bhagavan is controlled by his devotee. So from Sakyaras, it begins the idea of controlling Krishna with our love. Some of those eternally perfect associates in the form of Shri Krishna's mother and father consider themselves to be superior to him. They regard themselves as his maintainers, and they see him as the object of their mercy. Their mood to maintain Krishna is called Vatsalya Prem, or parental love, which demonstrates even more mamata than Sakyaras. Within Vatsalya, we find the firm faith and determination of Shantarasa, the service mood of Dasyaras, and especially the fraternal love devoid of shyness, a reserve that is peculiar to Sakyaras. In addition, we find in Vatsalya a mood that Krishna must be sustained. Such devotees are his complete protectors and will even punish, scold, and bind him. Vatsalya Shantiraguna Dasira Sivan, Sei Sevanera Ihanama Palan, Sakira Guna Ashankocha Agora Vasar, Mamata Diketarana, Bhartsana Vyabhar, Apanare Palaka Gyan, Krishna Palya Gyan, Charigune Vatsalya Rasa Amrita Saman, Se Amritanande Bhakta Sahadu Benapane, Krishna Bhakti Vasaguna, Kahe Aishwarya Gyani Gane. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 19, 226 to 229. In parental love, all of the qualities found in Shantaras, Dasyaras, and Sakyaras become transformed into a particular service called maintenance. The essence of Sakyaras is intimacy devoid of the formality and reverence of Dasyaras. It is because of this increased sense of intimacy that one chastises and admonishes Krishna. One with Vatsalya Prem considers oneself to be Krishna's nourisher and maintainer, and cares for him as one does as a son. The four qualities found in the other four rasas are all within this Vatsalya rasa, which is just like nectar. So it means the Adiras means Madhura ras, contains all the other four ones. So that the next one, which is Vatsalya, contain also the next three ones, like that. The reciprocation of nectarian bliss between Krishna and the devotee is such that Krishna is completely subjugated by the devotee. This happiness is compared with the notion of nectar into which the devotee and Krishna plunge. This is the conclusion of the Aishwarya Gyanis, those with knowledge of Krishna's opulence. Nanda ki ma karot brahmang shreya evam mahodayam yashodava mahabhaga papo yasastanam hari. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:8-46. Shri Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Shri Shukadeva Goswami, What auspicious pious activities did Sri Nanda Baba perform so that Sri Krishna agreed to become his son? And what did Sri Yashoda do that led to the absolute truth Sri Krishna sucking that most fortunate woman's breast milk? So this is one of the key verses for this Vatsalya Prem. And then Sri Rai Ramananda presented one more verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Nemam virinchona bhavo nashirapi anga samsaya prasadam levire gopi yat tat prapta vimukti dat. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 9, 10. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said to Sri Parikshit Maharaj, O saintly king, the mercy that the Gopi Yashoda received from Shri Krishna, the giver of liberation, was not given to Brahma or Shiva, or even to Lakshmi, who always resides on the chest of Shri Vishnu. So it means Yashoda, she is much more fortunate than Brahma, Shiva, or even Lakshmi Devi. Here we see Shri Krishna being controlled by Vatsalya Bhava, parental affection, despite being the Supreme Lord himself and full of unlimited opulence. He was completely controlled by Mother Yashoda's prema, and thus he allowed her to bind him. Who can bind him? Who is unlimited, having no inside, outside, top, or bottom? However, due to excessive feelings of possessiveness, she thinks Sri Krishna to be the object of protection and maintenance, and herself to be his guardian and maintainer. And for his welfare, he should bound him. But no, this is not so. He was bound by Vatsalya Prem. This was his mercy upon Mother Yashoda. Such mercy was never achieved by anyone else. Even Brahma, who is the son of the Lord, or Shiva, who has emanated from the Lord's own body, or even Lakshmi herself, who resides eternally on the Lord's chest, cannot obtain such mercy as Sri Yashoda received. So it's interesting to notice one thing, that although Yashoda, she is very, very fortunate. Yashoda Bhamaha Bhaga. Yashoda, she is very fortunate that Krishna was, born from her own womb, and he drank her breast milk. He sat on her lap, and so many things that he did in reciprocation to her love. But still, there is something lacking in Vatsalya Prem, which cannot please Krishna all the time and by whatever they do. Because if you remember, after binding Krishna in that Damodar Leela, Yashoda actually, first she had to struggle so much. And finally Krishna, after long struggle, Krishna allowed. But what was the consequence after that? Krishna, he wasn't happy at all. He wasn't happy, and even he wanted to avoid Yashoda. And Rohini had to come and had to convince Krishna to again meet with his mother and talk to her. And she was just like trying to bribe him, But he was very upset with Yashoda, actually, So although this is all Leela, but if that would be the gopis, or especially Srimati Radhika, then for sure Krishna would never be upset. What can make Krishna upset with Srimati Radhika? Nothing like. So the difference is that Yashoda, she can do, but at the end, the result is not, as perfect as would be if done by Madhura Ras. Because in Madhura Ras, there is complete freedom. And it is actually a very, very painful type of, description about these reactions of this Damodar Leela. How Krishna he was feeling hurt and he didn't want to see more Yashoda. And the Rohini comes and try to, talk to him, this and that. And it's very like heartbreaking, to hear those narrations. You feel like crying, right? It's very, very, very heavy to see how Krishna is like rejecting like Jashoda, and we feel a lot of pain for that. So this way, we will find this topmost, possibility of doing everything only in Madhura Ras. But Vatsalya is growing up to there. It's like one step, behind. So let us continue here. Bhagavan has said that he is always subservient to the devotee. Aham Bhakta Paradina. Bhagavatam 9:463. In the pastime of his mother binding him to the grinding mortar, known as Dam Bandhana Lila, his affection for his devotee is displayed to its highest degree. With reference to the Sukriti, devotional merits of Nandarai and Jashoda, our acharyas have said that both are eternally perfect associates. It was Sri Drona and Dhara who are actually partial expansions or amshas of Sri Nanda and Jashoda respectively, who had performed austerities. They had begged from Lord Brahma the benediction of receiving a relationship with Bhagavan in Vatsalya Prem. Lord Brahma knew them to be partial expansions of Sri Nanda and Jashoda. Thus Brahma, desiring to be the object of Sri Krishna's affection, said to both of them, Tatastu, so be it. If one does not have Braja Prem himself, how can he grant it to someone else? So I think I explained this somehow in one of our previous meetings, how this, how Nanda Baba and Jashoda, they were the eternal parents of Krishna, and Drona and Dhara, they were like, inside of him. They had the opportunity to be Jashoda and Nanda, but not fully like, in the sense that Nanda and Jashoda, they are eternally personalities, differently. The query may arise here that since Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya are Shri Krishna's eternal parents, what is the need for them to perform austerities? All of this is arranged by Jogmaya to carry out the Lord's human-like pastimes. Lord Brahma knew that this incident marked the start of the manifestation of Bhagavan's human-like pastimes in the material world. It is also worth noting that when Drona and Dhara requested this benediction, some great sages were assembled there who had faith in bhakti that is mixed with knowledge of the Lord's opulence. Therefore, Drona and Dhara directly requested the benediction of Parabhakti, which automatically transformed into their innate Vatsalya Prem. Actually, no one can become the mother and father of Shri Krishna by the blessings of Lord Brahma. So what they're saying here, what Gurudev is saying? Gurudev is saying that Brahma did not make their Swarupa as in Vatsalya Prem. They already had that. They already had. Therefore, Gurudev is saying, actually, no one can become the mother and father of Shri Krishna by the blessings of Lord Brahma. Then, in the previous one, Srila Gurudeva says, just to make clear, he said, Drona and Dhara directly requested the benediction of Parabhakti, which automatically transformed into their innate Vatsalya Prema. So their Vatsalya Prema is innate. Means they already have that nature in their soul, that tendency in their soul. So Brahma did not make from zero a soul into Vatsalya Prema. So Brahma just allowed them to manifest something which was already there inside of themselves. This is again Gurudev very clearly explained. So the fact is that when the Amshis, full original forms of Shri Nanda and Jashoda, appear in this world, their respective Amshas, partial expansions, again enter into their bodies. This principle is indicated by Lord Brahma using the word tatastu. Lord Brahma is very far from the position of Sri Nanda Yashoda. So how can he give this type of benediction to another one? He himself hankers to take birth in any lower species in Braj, a deer, animal, bird, tree, or a creeper, and considers his life successful if he will be able to obtain the foot dust of any resident of Braj. Tadbhuri bhagyam iha janma kimapi yatavyam yad gokule pikatam angri rajo bhishekam yad jivitam tunikilam bhagavam muktas tadhyap yatapad raja shruktimrigam eva. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 14, 34. Just as Sri Nanda and Jashoda are eternally perfected personal associates of Sri Krishna, so too is their Vatsalya Prem eternally existent. Thus, the question may arise that if Vatsalya Prem cannot be achieved by the performance of austerities, then are the spiritual practices and the worship performed by those sadhakas who desire Vatsalya Bhava also worthless? No, it is not like this. One will definitely achieve Vatsalya Bhava in service to Shri Krishna if one worships under the guidance of Sri Nanda and Jashoda. But no one can become either Sri Nanda or Jashoda. So this is another point which Labradeva is bringing here, which is the point that Nityasiddha Parikaras are the eternal associates, and no one can become them or take their post. It's not something that we can hanker for, to become like Radhika or to become like Lalita and Vishaka. These are like fixed posts, fixed positions, and no one can take that position. They are unique. That must be told. They are unique personalities. No one can imitate them or come into any other type of relationship like to replace them. So while discussing this subject, it is also worth mentioning that Srinanda had 5 brothers, Upananda being the eldest. His father, Parjanya Rishi, wanted to make Upananda king, but Upananda told his father, I am neither qualified nor able to become king. You will only find such qualification in my younger brother Nanda. Hearing this, Parjanya became very happy and announced that Nanda would be the king of Braj. All the people welcomed Parjanya's declaration. On the other hand, Nanda was completely renounced, and furthermore, he had no son. But as soon as Shri Krishna took birth in his home, all of his detachment was transformed into attachment. His house, kingdom, and every object containing them were all for the enjoyment of Shri Krishna. Both husband and wife performed their endeavors so that there would be no shortcomings in the rearing of Shri Krishna. Both became absorbed in feeding their son fresh butter, placing him on their laps and caressing him. They chastised him lovingly, and Jashoda bound him to a grinding mortar. Nanda and Jashoda learned that the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, Radha, had obtained from Durvasa Muni a benediction that whoever would eat the prasadam cooked by her lotus hands would always enjoy good health and long life. Upon hearing this, with great respect, they invited Radha to their palace so that Krishna would eat the prasadam prepared by her hand. Even when Radha was married, Madhya Yashoda would patiently tolerate the curses and complaints of Shri Radha's mother-in-law, Jyotila, to whom she would continue to humbly send gifts and requests to send Radha to cook for Shri Krishna. Nanda and Yashoda loved Radha as much as they loved Krishna. Herein lies the great specialty of Nanda Baba and Madhya Yashoda's parental affection. We find testimony to this in Padavali 126. Shruting maparis vritim vitare bharatam anye bhajantu bhavavita. Aham ihanandam vande jasyalide param brahma. In a world frightened by birth and death, some people take shelter of the Shrutis, some of the Smritis, and some of the Mahabharata. But I pay my homage to Sri Nandarai, in whose courtyard Parabrahma is playing as a child. By this and other prayers, all rishis, munis, and Sri Narada himself have glorified Sri Nanda and Yashoda. Sri Krishna performed so many pastimes, but nowhere else was he ever bound. When he became an envoy of peace and went to Hastinapur, Duryodhana attempted to bind him with ropes, but Sri Krishna showed his universal form, and everyone in the whole assembly, including Duryodhana, became fearful. We cannot find it described anywhere that Bhagavan was bound by Mother Devaki or Kaushalya, but he was bound by the hand of Mother Yashoda. Nanda Yashoda's human-like dealings, Lokik Sada Bandhuvat, with Shri Krishna are not found anywhere else. The source of all expansions, the unlimitedly opulent Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, being controlled by the fully ripened Vatsalya Prema of Sri Yashoda, allowed himself to be bound. By accepting this, he experienced supreme happiness. Indeed, he was extremely anxious to taste this Vatsalya Ras. In this way, Yashoda, who is so proud of feeling that she is Krishna's mother, became even more fortunate in this lila, which combines both Aishwarya and Madhurya. It is not possible to describe Nanda and Yashoda's pain of separation from Krishna when he was going to Mathura. At that time, Yashoda became just like a piece of dry wood. Nanda Baba, quit speaking with others and quit speaking with others and stopped coming outside of the palace. Remembering his son, he simply would continuously call for him and weep. Immersed in the bottomless ocean of Vatsalya Prem, he remained searching for his son. Every second he would turn his face towards Mathura, waiting expectantly. Now he will come, now he will. So interesting to note that what here Srila Gurudev mentioned, that before Nanda Baba he was very much renounced. And after having Krishna, his renunciation became attachment. So this is what all of us should do to increase our attachment for Krishna. Then automatically our detachment from the material world will manifest. And all the attachments we have for the material world, we should transfer that to Krishna. Buddhists and other lines of yoga, they will advocate that all types of attachments are bad and should be completely erased from our existence. No single attachment should remain there. But what we say, what our acharyas in our line say, that no, our attachment should be there for that supreme object, which is Parabrahman, Shri Krishna, who actually is the real meaning of our lives. So all our material attachments should turn into attachment to Krishna. So this is the secret of bhakti. So this is the essence of bhakti. And that's the only thing we have to do in this life. So when Uddhav came and tried to pacify Nanda Baba, it only increased his feelings of separation 100 times over. Uddhav said, "Oh Nanda Maharaj, come and wander outside for a bit." your mind may find some distraction. Nanda Baba replied, please tell me, Uddhav, where should I go? Wherever I go, I remember Kanaya and become even more distressed. Every object I see reminds me of Krishna and pierces me like a spike. My misery and suffering simply increase, but my life does not leave me. Why his life does not leave him? Because this is not a dreadful type of suffering. This is not material suffering. This is not mundane suffering. This is transcendental attachment, transcendental suffering. Therefore, his life is not leaving him. Uddhav said, "Oh Nanda, your son is directly Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord." So this is the result of bringing someone from Mathura to Vrindavan. They have no idea. Then Uddhava says to Nanda Maharaj, "Oh, he is Bhagavan." And then hearing this, Nanda Baba exclaimed, "Uddhav, I was thinking that you were extremely intelligent, but this is not so. Uddhav, you do not know the symptoms of Bhagavan. Does Bhagavan ever become hungry? Come on. If Krishna's mother is just a little bit late in bringing a bowl of butter, he breaks all the pots in the house. Does Bhagavan ever go house to house stealing? Our boy wanders everywhere in Braj stealing. Oh, my son Uddhav, if ever there were a real father, then that was Maharaj Dasharath. After Sri Ram went to the forest, he could not wait even 1 second. Immediately, his life left him. But see, Uddhav, I do not wish to die like Dasharath Maharaj. Before leaving, Kanaya said, I will definitely return. So surely he will come back to Braj. If I were to die before his return, then not seeing me, he will ask his mother after me. And when his mother answers, my son, your father has died, he will be so unhappy. So this type of feeling, it's already there, not only in the gopis, even Nanda Baba and Jashoda, they also have this type of. They don't ever want to give any pain to Krishna. Therefore, they keep their lives. Wherever I may go, if he is unhappy, my unhappiness will only increase. I will tolerate my own unhappiness. But Uddhav, I never want to see any unhappiness in my son. The greatly learned sage Uddhav became dumbstruck. The parental affection of Sri Nanda and Jashoda was beyond his understanding. From the day that Krishna went to Mathura, food had not been prepared even once. For whom would they cook? All the pots were kept upside down, and the stove was covered with cobwebs. What sweet and charming pastimes are found in Vatsalya Ras. Just seeing Yashoda's upraised stick. Shri Krishna opulence and position as Bhagavan ran away. When Mother Yashoda looked into Krishna's mouth after he ate dirt, she saw all of the moving and non-moving entities in the universe. Thinking this to be the work of some witch, she continued to caress her son, as her affection for him simply swelled higher. Even today, the personified Vedas are searching for the food dust of these Brajavasis. There's another verse, very nice from Bhagavatam, which says, Aho bhagyam, nanda gopa prajokasam, amritam paramanandam purna brahma sanatana. Oh, how fortunate are Nanda Baba and Jashoda, that Purna Brahma Sanatana, the Supreme Lord, eternal, is crawling in their courtyard. How many austerities they had to perform to achieve such thing. Of course, this is when we speak about austerities, this is from the perspective of Naralila, human-like pastimes. Srila Gurudev, he clarified that. They have no need to perform austerities. In same way as, the Braja Gopis are also not in need of worshipping Surya Dev or any other type of, things to attract Krishna. They are always, what to say, always, able to have that relation eternally with Krishna. So in this way, we are ending this chapter about Vatsalya Prema. Next time we will continue with Kanta Prema Madhura Ras. Hare Krishna.